Hello, my name is Gary Britland and today I'm in Accrington. You're wondering why I'm stood outside Costa Coffee. It's situated on Hyndburn Road in Accrington, and it wasn't a Costa Coffee, it was the place where Frederick Gatty invented Khaki dye. Frederick Gatty was invited over here with Frederick Steiner. They both worked at Broadoak Works in Accrington for Thomas Hargreaves, and they were in the dye and printing industry. First they printed, they made the dye, which was turkey red dye, for the army, and then Frederick Gatty was asked to come up with a different colour, and he came up with a colour which was khaki colour, and they used it in the army in the Boer War in the 1800s, and the colour is Hindu for dust colour khaki, and he made his fortune out of dyeing uniforms and cloth, and Mr. Frederick Gatty just lived at Elfield Hall, just at the side here in Gatty Park. And this was where the works stood. The works was here until about 1990s, late 1990s. Before that, the company was GA Plastics. They was in the building, and it was a very solid stone, large building just on the side of the road here. And then it was demolished, and then Costa Coffee, and that's why I'm videoing outside of Costa Coffee. So this site in not only Lancashire's industry, but the country's industry, industrial revolution. It's a historic site. Just on the other side is the Hyndburn Park School, which was built in 1905. Before that, on the hill just at the side was Hyndburn House, where Frederick Steiner lived, which was the friend of Mr. Gatty, who invited him over, like I said. And Mr. Steiner lived in the house, in Hyndburn House. It was a large house. First it was owned by the Peels in about 1820s approximately, but then the Peels were kicked out of the area. The mills were rioted, and people just didn't like them taking over because they invented machinery that replaced the jobs. So the Peels left and went to Bury. So Mr. Steiner came along and bought all the Peels properties. I think the last person in the house was called Robert Peel, not the famous Prime Minister, but he lived in the property. Then Mr. Steiner took over and bought the property when he left, and it was a massive mansion. About 1830s Steiner bought it, 1839 Steiner bought it, and later in about 1860s it was pulled down. When it was pulled down, probably the masonry was used to build the school, because the school was built later in 1906, 1905. So there must have been a lot of stone used to build this large school. Probably this school is the same size as the house was then. The house was situated on a bit of an angle and ran that way across the hillside. But like I say, it was pulled down and then they built the school. To supply the dye works was a large lodge, which still survives today, Hag Lodge, and it's a massive fishery at the moment, full of carp, and they fish carp on that lodge. Hag is a word meaning farm. It's an old word, hag, spelled H-A-G HGG, not Hag as in witch. So this reservoir further up would have fed the dye works where they produced the khaki dye. Like I said earlier, Frederick Steiner was also involved in inventing turkey red dye. It was a process by getting from the madder plant roots the chemical to dye kerosene, and they made lots of money out of that. So this is a very historic site in the Lancashire's Industrial Revolution. So that's it. Thank you.